going on, everybody? I actually have like a half a dozen topics rolling through my head right now about things that I want to talk about. Not all of them are completely formed thoughts in my head, nor do I want to discuss them because I would just ramble on and this would be the longest video ever. I am probably, let's focus on inflammation. All right, so I've had a couple people ask questions about like, what is inflammation? Why is it a problem? Why does it cause issues, right? We say a lot, we say all the time that one of the biggest cause of health issues in America today is inflammation, right? It's the root of most metabolic disease, most chronic issues, most chronic illness. We say inflammation. What does that even mean? Okay. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. Number one, I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you all this specific medical terms. But I can give you my understanding, and hopefully it's something that helps kind of bring the picture of what inflammation is to you. Okay. Inflammation is a natural part of our immune system. Okay. When something negative happens to the body, inflammation is that trigger that tells the body you need to do something to respond and repair this problem. Okay. I'll use an example of a cut. If you get a cut on your arm, or let's say you get a cut on your arm, it starts to get red, it gets puffy, the area around the cut, right? It gets swole, and things start to happen in the body. That is inflammation. Okay. That is healthy inflammation. The key characteristic to that is that it is short term. Okay. It's a signal to the body to fix something. All right. When we talk about inflammation being a problem, right, we talk about chronic inflammation. What that means is the signal, the effect, the reaction of your body to something that is not supposed to be happening is always on and never turns off. Okay. The opposite of inflammation that's healthy, right? Short term, hey, something's going on, I'm going to get red and puffy. As my body responds, that puffiness, that redness, that irritation is going to go away. If I take that same cut on my arm and every morning when I wake up, I cut it again, it's going to get really bad, right? The irritation's never going to go away. The cut's going to get worse. It's going to get infected. There's going to be all kinds of problems. Eventually that is going to become a giant issue in my life. Okay. It could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years, whatever, right? That's the analogy we're trying to use here. When you are doing things to your body that does not allow it to turn that signal off and repair itself, then things start to break down because your body is now always in a state of emergency. It's always in a state of alert. It's always in a state of, oh my God, something's wrong. What are we doing? Okay. When we talk about nutrition specifically, what we're talking about is eating things that our body has to do extra work to process, that causes extra processes and responses that aren't needed necessarily for us to survive. And so our body is doing things more than it needs to, right? It's like taking a car and an unleaded engine and putting lead engine in it and hoping things are going to work, right? Or take, for another example, let's take regular unleaded, right? Put it in a car and then we put a crap ton of fuel booster in it all the time. Or we try to run our car off of fuel booster, right? Octane booster. It'll work to a point, but you're going to burn your engine up if you eventually keep putting octane booster in your car more than it needs to be, more than the right mixture is, whatever, okay? Our bodies are designed to run a certain way on certain fuels and process certain macronutrients to do certain things, okay? If we're always giving it stuff that it's not meant to have, then we get chronic inflammation. We get excess body fat. We get cardiovascular disease. We get eczema. We get autoimmune issues. We get acne. We get migraines. We get fibromyalgia. We get, the list goes on and on and on. Gout and kidney stones and who knows what else, because there's so many different aspects of how our body responds to what we're doing, and it can only handle things so much. When it never gets a chance to turn it off, we have problems. That is why going to a meat-based diet fixes a lot of problems for a lot of people, okay? Because the number one factor, let's just say two, the top two factors of nutrition that are causing inflammation for people, okay, are processed foods in and of themselves. Doesn't matter what it is, processed foods. And then the second one is plant-based foods, okay? So plant-based foods being an issue for primarily what we call anti-nutrients and our body's reaction to those things, but also because carbs, plants, processed foods are not really designed, our bodies are not really designed to process them as cleanly and efficiently as possible without added stress. Stress equals inflammation, okay? Oxidative stress, free radicals, bioavailability, we've talked about that before. The things that our body has to do to process the food, way higher on the energy and effort level for plants, way lower on the energy and effort level for meat, okay? To give you an example, okay, if you've watched any of my videos, you may have heard this example before. When we talk about vitamin C and we talk about getting vitamin C from plants, we need vitamin C primarily, okay, for the creation of collagen if we are eating a good percentage, a large percentage of carbohydrates in plant-based foods and not primarily focusing on meat, okay? We need that because there is two proteins, lysine and proline, that are required to make collagen, okay? The hydrolyzed versions of those is what's required. If I eat a lot of plants, I get the base version, proline and lysine, I get that, no problem. My body can't use it for collagen. I need vitamin C to work as a catalyst to help add that extra hydrogen, right? Hydrolyze, so now we get hydroxylysine and hydroxyproline, okay? That's what is actually used to help make collagen, okay? Hydroxylysine, hydroxyproline. In meat, we get hydroxylysine and hydroxyproline naturally without needing vitamin C to make that transition, okay? An extra step that we have to take if we're basing our food and our lifestyle on plant-based foods, okay? If you're doing things wrong, your body has to do extra work to get what it needs out of it. That's why we have to be careful of what we're doing when it comes to, there's a cop driving right by me real slow. Maybe he's creeping on me. That's why we have to be really careful when what we're doing in terms of inflammation and what we're putting into our food, okay? What we're putting into our mouths, what food we're putting into our mouths. So just keep that in mind, guys. Inflammation is repetitive, chronic, consistent effect or stimulus of something that our body does not like, something that our body is stressing over, something that our body is doing more than it needs to or wants to in order to process what we're doing, okay? On that note, something just popped in my head. I made a comment a while ago. I think I put a post up, and the title of the post was, if you're feeding your kids fast food, you're a bad parent. This is why, okay? I've been a bad parent. I used to feed my kids fast food, junk food, candy, whatever, crackers, like before I knew better, okay? Now I do everything that I possibly can to remind them what good, healthy food is. Focus on the protein, get healthy fats, try to stay away from processed foods, okay? As much as now they're older, they're all 18 and up, right? I have a granddaughter. I try to talk to my daughter about how to feed her daughter. Feeding your kids processed foods is easier, okay? Giving your kids a chance in their health, setting them up with a foundation of understanding what food is for, right? It's not for a reward. It's not for feeling good, right? It is nourishment. It is nourishment. If you're not giving your kids food that nourishes them, then you are not fulfilling your duty as a parent. It's just flat out. You might as well move into a house that hasn't been de-leaded. You might as well move into a house that has asbestos in it, because it's the same thing. Consistent, low-level exposure over time that causes illness. That's what diabetes is. That's why juvenile diabetes has become so bad, okay? That's why kids are overweight. That's why we're talking about kids that have so many mental disorders, right? It's all about the food that they're getting. They're getting food that is causing chronic inflammation and stress in their body, and it's screwing them up, okay? And it's because parents are too lazy, too preoccupied to take the time and do what they need to do to provide healthy nutrition for their kids, okay? That's all I'm going to say on that. That's another topic you could go on, right? Parents, take responsibility for your kids. Do what's right. Take the extra couple minutes and buy the right food. Teach them what it's all about to eat healthy so that they don't have to deal with the same health problems you might be dealing with yourself.